To make the soup, and I insist it will be made with water, because the taste of the veggies is so wonderful, you're going to take your beans like this and chop them in little pieces, very simply like this, very simple, nothing to worry about. Huh? You take for this the big, huge beans that you find in the store. Then you take 6 leeks, and here they are, and you want to chop the leek, and notice how I chop that. From the back of my blade, this is what chops. I'm not going the whole length. Huh? I'm just going the back of the blade like this, pushing the leek slightly forward, okay, as fast as you can. But when you get to the end, please slow down. There is no need to get your finger involved in there. It's not necessary. There we are. So, here we go, and I'm going to put that soup to cook. You can see here I have boiling water, and in there will go my 3 potatoes, okay, my leeks, all right, and I'm going to get rid of all this as usual under, the mixture of wax beans and green beans, all right, and while this is coming to a boil, I'm going to prepare the garlic and parsley that will go as a mixture. Cover this very nicely and let it simmer for 45 minutes. Now, I'm going to do the garlic and parsley because they will go in the soup after it's finished. So chop this very nicely, okay? Chop it really fine, change your direction, and then you're going to chop it the way you should with the back of your blade again, and notice my fingers forward. I will never repeat this enough to you, that the fingers have to be forward, not like that. Huh? Now, to get it mashed, the best way is to do that. Bring it back to the front, and with your finger flat here, to just mash it like this. Huh? Sometimes you can get it like a puree. I'm not going to insist on that. Then I'm going to put some parsley here and chop it really coarse, not very, very fine. And then we'll add it to the soup after we're finished, okay? There we go. Not too thin, the parsley, huh? Otherwise you don't get the whole flavor of the leaf when you add it to the soup afterwards. Just break the leaf. Do not chop it very finely. There we go. Okay, that will be fine. We'll leave it there, and I'm going to leave it on the board to add it to the soup afterwards. There. All right. So here we are, and this is for the top. We'll do it later. I'm going to go back now and see what has happened in another pot where I have cooked. So you can see the soup here finished cooking completely. Check the color of the beans. They are discolored. Huh? It's a trade. Either you get the real deep taste of the vegetable and you overcook, or you get the beautiful color and you get very little taste. So on this concoction, we want the real French country taste about 40, 45 years ago. So here's what we do. We cook it very well. Then you're going to pass it through a food mill. Now, this, you know, is very important. You can use your Cuisinart nowadays or your food processor, whichever you have, and you put it in there and it will be the perfect texture. The country soups were rough in texture. They were not very smooth like the classic cuisine soups. So you take some of this here and you put it in your food mill. Put a good 2 ladlefuls at a time, and then watch the noise. Huh? You just go over like this, okay? Come back, okay? And then keep going until everything is passed through. It takes a little while and it makes some noise. We're going to forget about it. It can finish itself all by itself because obviously here I have one that is ready for us to eat. It is important that you remember to very much season it properly. So you taste it. You can see the texture once I'm finished doing it. I'm going to now put my beans, my wax beans, as a garnish. This is another ½ pound of wax beans as a garnish. And then I'm going to blend in it some sour cream, approximately a ½ cup each of sour cream, and ½ cup of heavy cream here. You can see the texture is not exactly what you can call very, very light. Now, if you do not like the cream and you want a very simple, very good intake of fibers, all you have to do is do the soup without the cream. That's all I have to tell you. Let's put some salt because I'm sure there is not enough, and some pepper also. You're going to pour this into your soup here. I'm going to put the garlic and parsley at the bottom, okay? Put it on my blade and bring it in. Pour it over there in my beautiful little soup pot that you can see here, all right? And I'm going to mix this very well and cover it for 2 minutes to let it infuse together and have a wonderful taste of raw garlic when you have it. There is not much garlic, and one little garlic clove is not something that's going to kill anybody. So put a few leaves like this, and serve it, and then I will be back. Don't forget a wonderful loaf of wonderful sour French dough, because in the Loire Valley, most of the time they have some bread which can be very, very sour and very pleasant. So here we go. This is the first course. I'm coming back with something really splendid as a main course. See you in just a minute.
We will continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel. Tonight on the Learning Channel, ancient Greece built a glorious civilization, rich in science and the arts. But modern researchers wonder, how much did the Greeks rely on the earlier brilliance of Egypt? Has prejudice kept us from seeing Africa's influence on European culture? Find out on the next Archaeology. Tonight at 8:30 on the Learning Channel.
Sweet, delicious, so juicy.
Washington apples. They're as good as you've heard.
I think it's healthy for a man to make friends with a washing machine.
We designed Whirlpool washers, so just about anyone in the family can use them.
I don't ask him to do a wash often, so when he does, I want to be sure it's done right.
Whirlpool washers have a self-balancing system to help prevent most lopsided loads from stopping in mid-cycle.
I never got any help. I was born too early.
Whirlpool, how to make a home run.
When's the last time you tried Ovaltine?
My kids drink it every day. They don't like plain milk, but they love Ovaltine. Whoever said things had to taste bad to be good for you?
Just 2 glasses of classic Ovaltine and milk contain more than 10 essential vitamins and minerals, almost 100% of the daily recommended allowance of all these important nutrients.
Ovaltine brings back wonderful memories, and the whole family loves the taste.
Classic Ovaltine tastes great, and it's great for you.
I love days that never end, playing let's pretend, laughing till I cry, and friends. And I love you too.
You'll love the great taste of America's #1 snack cake, Little Debbie.
And I love you too.
For over 1,500 years, they guarded the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Even the most learned scholar could not break their hidden secrets. Then, in 1822, one man did what no one had done before. He broke the silence of Egyptian hieroglyphs, and a world once lost was at last rediscovered. Meet Jean-Francois Champollion on the next Ancient Journeys, Saturday at 10 on the Learning Channel. We now continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
Now, we're going to cook a dish of pork as was cooked in my Aunt Claire's restaurant, which is called noisette de porc au pruneau. Normally, this is done with a white wine. We're going to do it with a red one because this was her way to do it. You can see here the little steaks that are cut, which we call noisette, and they are cut out of a piece of loin, which I have tied approximately every 3/4 of an inch so that when I cut between the ties, I get those little noisettes that you see here, which I have prepared for cooking on my plate. What I have done, that brown that you see, is 4 épices, or the sweet spices, which I've put on the top. The next thing I'm going to do is to bring them to the stove, and you can see that I have some very, very hot butter in that, and that I'm going to put it to cook on real high heat and sear them very well, okay? There we go. They're cooking now nicely. You can hear them kind of frying a little bit, and they are going to take on some color very quickly while I do talk to you about my prunes. These are the prunes in the Loire Valley around Tours. Was a certain type of prune known as the Gros Damas de Tours, which is approximately twice as big as the prune from California. What they used to do is soak it in white wine. She decided to do it in red wine because she had a mind of her own. The wine she used was the Chinon or the Bourgueil that was made in the family, and which I'm replacing now by my California Cabernet Sauvignon. So what you do, you soak your prunes like this overnight or 2 days, whichever you like the best, and you let them soak until the sugar of the prune has gone into the wine. And then you cook them for 5 minutes, which gives you what you see here, plumped up prune in hot wines. So I'm now going to strain them and keep them on the side here ready to go into the sauce. You can see my noisettes cooking. I'm turning them over. And of course, I'm going to do my little magic trick forever, which consists into changing rapidly my pan to a pan that is already, where the meat is already cooked. So I'm going to extract the plate from under, put the noisettes that are cooked here in this plate that you see waiting, and I'm going to do the sauce as should be done, which is relatively quick. You can do that sauce ahead of time. And again, if you don't like the cream in it, you just don't bother to put it. That's perfectly all right. So here's what I'm doing. Let me put them there. Well, I'll find them later. I'm going to work with, respectively, the prune juice that you see here on as high heat as I can. Okay? So I'm going to put prune juice and stir this very well. Okay? Then I'm going to put a little bit of cream and stir this very well into it. That's a component of 3 prune juice, cream, and some veal stock, which I have here. You can use your chicken stock. That's perfectly all right. And I'm going to leave this to reduce very gently until I am finished doing over there a little bit of a salad, which is a wonderful salad actually, and which I like very much and is a good accompaniment for the prune and the pork. I'm going to put my prunes in there to cook in there too, so that they acquire a lovely color. Notice that all this is going to reduce gently while I do my salad. This is what you do at home. Now let me talk to you about that salad. These are the components of it, and they all came from the garden in Château-la-Vallière. We picked them up and we put them on the table at night, except for one, which I'm going to isolate very seriously. These are zucchini cut in sticks, and these are amazingly enough in French cuisine, leeks that are cut in julienne also, but will not be blanched, so that they are very crunchy and extremely pungent, and they act almost like mustard right through the salad. I want you to see the size of my green beans. Yes, ma'am? These are green beans. I sorted them for you. Compared to the size that came in the soup earlier, you can see the difference. These are baby green beans. These are turnips, the petit pois that you know that I use very often, carrots, tomatoes, and finally, this type of bean that you see here, which is known as a flageolet in some area or chevrier in the other. As you see them, they are green. They are imported in the United States, and if you're lucky enough to be able to import them of the same year, you will be able to plant them in your garden and get them, which is what I used to be able to do. So I'm going to put some of my dressing, which is nothing more than sour cream and vinegar, walnut oil, salt and pepper, just a little bit of it, herbs which are beautiful tarragon and beautiful chives, and toss all these together and bring it to the table where I will be ready to do oh, look at the beautiful salad. Isn't that lovely, huh? You see, you put all your elements of the salad and finally toss them together. You will notice that the most important element gathering the dressing will be the tomatoes. Let me bring this over, and you will see that while I was working over there, what has happened is that my sauce has taken shape completely and is ready to go. Check the nice texture of my sauce. You can see it here. And I'm going to make a nice little plate with 1 or 2 of my little pork tenderloin that are here, like this, okay? and some prunes all around in the continuation of my herbs. Separate them, they look nice and plump, as you can see. Don't put more than 4 per person, it's a little too much. And then with my big sauce spoons, I'm going to put my beautiful sauce here. Look at this, this is absolutely gorgeous, and you should know how good it tastes. This is absolutely wonderful. There we are. Okay? Bring the sauce a little bit between the prunes. There. And what we're going to do now is to put a bit of salad on the side to go with it as an accompaniment. And I want you to know that I have respected the way this came on the plate at my aunt's restaurant with the herbs exactly as they are here. Put a handful of the salad on this little plate, okay? And there we are in business. I'm coming back with a super, super cake. Stay with me.
We will continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
To you, it's just a peel. To us, it's where promises are kept. Sunkist. You have our word on it.
How is the pasta?
Almost as good as the DiGiorno pasta we had the other night at home.
DiGiorno?
Refrigerated pastas and sauces.
See, you use big chunks of diced tomato and sliced mushroom just like DiGiorno.
And these tortellini have almost as much ricotta and Romano cheese as DiGiorno.
You are too kind.
Hey, you're not serving DiGiorno here now, are you?
Certainly not.
Too bad.
For restaurant fresh taste, you can make reservations or make DiGiorno. And now, enjoy the fresh taste of DiGiorno shredded Parmesan.
Usually, when you send flowers out of town, you give the order to somebody who takes a cut. Then he passes the order to somebody else who takes a cut. But now there's Flowers Direct that actually lets you speak to a florist in the area where you're sending the flowers. Flowers Direct, or We Cut, is the middleman. Call Flowers Direct now, 1-800-678-7878.
This weekend on the Learning Channel, curl up and relax in the country charm and cozy comforts of America's favorite inns. Sample the elegance and art of the finest in culinary splendor. And for the romantic at heart, rediscover the scenic wonder of North America's waterways. It's an evening of fine living. Saturday nights beginning at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific on the Learning Channel. Brought to you by Gallo. It's time for a change to Gallo.
Now, Barney, that lovable purple dinosaur, is available on home video. It's a collection your preschooler will love. Offered only from Time Life Video.
Because that's a rule that stays the same.
Call this toll-free number now so your children can have their first Barney video. Caring means sharing for $9.99. Then every other month or so, your child will receive other fun Barney videos, like Playing It Safe and Be a Friend. And if you order with your credit card, you'll receive a free Barney in concert audio tape featuring your child's favorite Barney songs.
I love you, you love me.
I love you, Barney.
Here's how to order.
To receive the Barney and Friends Caring Means Sharing video for $9.99, call this toll-free number. Use your credit card and receive a free Barney audio cassette. Call now.
We now continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
This cake was the specialty of my Aunt Claire, and I want you to see the texture of my egg whites. Here they are. The egg is just sitting on the surface without sinking into it. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is make one of those meringues that are made with nuts, and here are my powder of hazelnuts and cocoa and sugar. You can see the elements here. And I'm going to put this on top of my egg whites and fold, as I have showed you to fold many times, until the whole mixture is homogeneous, okay? At the beginning, it is going to be a little difficult because these egg whites are so very dry. They look like they are dry. They are not. They're just white. Huh? They're at peak of texture. But you want to fold this very well until everything is homogeneous, like that. See? It's coming along. Take a look at the beautiful egg whites that do not break. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave them there for a second and pass here to a large cookie sheet, unbendable and black, so for maximum absorption of heat. My hand flat on the cake pan, I'm going to trace here a circle as large as the cake, okay? With the tip of a knife. Notice that I do have space to make another one, which I will not make now, but I do have space to make it. Then I'm going to take some of that. You have enough in the recipe that you will find in your book to make 4 of these layers, and you'll see me use them all one after the other. And I'm going to spread this until it reaches the edge of my circle. It is a little easier for you to do than use a pastry bag, spread, etc., etc. So that's why I prefer to do it this way. If your hand is nice and steady, you get it even, and you will see it go up and then come down and be approximately 1/4 of an inch thick. So here we go. You put this in the oven. Don't worry too much about regularity. I will cope with this a little later, as you will see. So this will go into the oven, all right? And I'll put it here, and I'm going to get out of the oven the one that we have put 20 minutes at 325 degrees, and which is now quite hot for me, okay? There we are. This one is going to come here, and with 2 spatulas. Watch that, because it's hot, it's warm, and very malleable. And if you don't do what I show you now, it is going to be very difficult to transfer it. Would you please put it like this so it comes directly here on your cake rack, and put this under and get rid of it. And what you will do is, once this is cold, you will take your cake pan again and trace it and cut it to be an even round, exactly, because it blew outside of its circle, and you will have something that will look perfectly regular. Now we have to find out what we're going to put into these layers, and I have here a cake that is partially finished. You just focus on it for 1 second and then come with me over here. In 2 of the layers we're going to have a buttercream, a mousseline buttercream. And you can see, if you plunge right there into my mixer, you're going to see eggs that have been foamed quite heavily. These are egg yolks that are foamed quite heavily. I'm going to put this on number 6 of my mixer, and in there pour my sugar syrup. And let me tell you that the sugar syrup should be at 232, no less than 228 and no more than 232. There we go. So here we are, there. This is being poured in it. You can see the thread from the pot falling in. This is sugar at the thread stage. There we are. Okay? There we are. Now, what you're going to do is make sure that you let this ribbon like this together until you get twice as much egg as you have here, and until you have it completely cold. Okay? I'm going to then, as soon as it is cold, you add your butter. Since I cannot show you this now because it's warm, okay, I'm going to have to revert to a buttercream that is ready here, which I'm going to work lightly with a spatula to show you what it is like. Let me show you that. It is now finished, and it has been waiting, and I'm going to homogenize it. And as I homogenize it, check how it gets completely white. You see? A good buttercream, well emulsified, in which the syrup and the egg are in good suspension in the butter, is always whitish like this. You saw the difference. It was very yellow, and all of a sudden it became very, very soft and extremely beautiful. Okay? So I'm going to put it here and work with it later. So we're going to have, look at my cake here. We have 1 layer that is white. This is the white buttercream. I have a dark layer here. This is a layer that has been made yesterday. Has been stiff and has now mellowed again because it has been at room temperature and has absorbed all the moisture of the atmosphere. For the center, to make the center for the ganache, it's called a ganache. It is a funny name. We have here chocolate that is melted with butter, and we add just a few tablespoons of cream at the same temperature as the chocolate. Please, the very same temperature as the chocolate, or you run into the trouble of seeing your chocolate seize. Let me show you what it is like when it is cold and ready to spread. You can see it here. See, it is solid, and this will spread very well. It's already in there, so I'm not going to bother. So let me do my very last layer for you, and then I will show you my cake all finished. There we are. And when you do your layers, do yourself a favor. Do not put it one cream and then add a layer. Put the cream on the first layer, the ganache on the second, and the cream on the third, as I'm doing now, and then spread it, okay? Then put your layers on top of each other. So put a maximum of cream at the center here, okay? Bring it approximately a half an inch here, and then push down to bring your cream like this with your hand to meet the edge of your cake, all right? And this is what you have here, a cake that is finished, all right? With a nice lovely flowers in the center. And around that cake, we have put hazelnuts that were chopped. Now, I thank you for your attention. Keep this in the refrigerator for one day. And the next day, you cook it in 12, 16, 24 portions, or even in little square. It's excellent, whichever way you want to do it. I will see you next week to yet go to another province, probably in another part of France.
Weekday afternoons on the Learning Channel. See for yourself why America's cooking with the Urban Peasant. Weekdays at 3:30 and 6:30 on TLC.
To you, it's just a peel. To us, it's where promises are kept. Sunkist. You have our word on it.
Oh, guys, get a whiff of this.
What? Oh, that's very nice.
It's like a petunia.
Breath Savers, with its cool minty core, gives you the ultimate fresh breath. Breath Savers.
When's the last time you tried Ovaltine?
I had a glass with lunch. I don't always eat right, so I make sure to have some Ovaltine to help keep me going.
Just 2 glasses of classic Ovaltine and milk contain more than 10 essential vitamins and minerals, almost 100% of the daily recommended allowance of all these important nutrients.
Best of all, Ovaltine tastes great. I mean, really delicious.
Classic Ovaltine tastes great, and it's great for you.
Every Saturday, the Learning Channel helps you get things done. Looking to whip up a fabulous meal? We've got the right recipes and cooks who know their way around the kitchen. Got a home repair project you can put off no longer? We'll show you the right tools to use and the best way to use.
I'm going to show you some of the ancestral foods today, things that are done in the villages, and the recipes all come from my great-grandmother and my grandmother's cookbooks that are handwritten in German, which I still have and are by now falling apart. I'm going to make the favorite soup of the Alsatian in the winter, which is the lentil soup. Doesn't look good, but tastes super. Huh? So obviously we start with lentil, which are the brown lentils that you see here, not the green one, which come from another part. A lot of food coming from the pig. They love the pig meat, and actually very much like the Germans, they have a great taste for any meat. So here's a side of bacon and what we call bratwurst, the bratwurst being the white sausage, and absolutely delicious. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now, that the population is separated into Catholic, Protestants, and Jewish people. And as much as the Catholic and the Protestant cook with that, the Jewish population does not use the pork at all, which gives a totally different strain of Alsatian food, which is absolutely delicious. The same soup, for those of you who carry a kosher kitchen, can be done with some corned beef or salted beef, okay? Now, I'm going to make that soup with the lentils. You see them here having soaked overnight and being quite swollen. You don't have to soak lentils actually, but it does make the cooking a little quicker. Since the lentils blow by themselves, you won't have any problem. As whenever you make a soup with legume, you're going to add your lentils here to cold water, okay? This is very important, adding them to cold water. And then you're going to flavor your soup with a large onion that I have here, okay, stuck with 4 cloves, and a piece of bacon, approximately 2 to 3 ounces. So you just put this on slow heat and let it cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. Taste the lentil. If the lentil isn't done enough, then continue cooking a little more. Now, as you will see, this gives you a soup that is very brown and very uniform in color. So to break the uniformity and to sustain the taste of pork in it, that sausage that you saw here has been cut in slices. I have a cute story to tell you. When I went to Alsace after the war to find my family there, my mother's and grandmother's family, I found them all right, and there were a bunch of kids in there. And I went there to spend the Christmas, and guess what they were doing? They had the kids cut the cooked sausage in slices, and with a little cookie cutter, a tiny little cookie cutter, cut the sausage in little stars that were to decorate the soup. I'm not going to carry it so far. Here the sausage in slices, and also the leek and carrot mixture that you saw on the table beside my leeks, which are there sauteed in butter. Huh? So let me show you how to do that soup once it is cooked. I have a double batch here, which is, I'm going to take the bacon out. You keep the bacon, and you know what they do with that? They take some of the brown bread of the Alsace, okay, and they cut it in pieces. They rub it with garlic. And once they rub it with garlic, I'm trying to get my bouquet garni like mad. And oh yeah, here it is. It wouldn't come with me. They put it between the 2 slices of bread, take the bacon cold with plenty of mustard, and eat this as a sandwich, and it's absolutely disastrous as far as the diet is concerned, but wonderful for the palate. So what you do, you take your good old food processor there, put some of the lentils in there. If you do not have a food processor, the food meal would be fine. That's no problem. You take whatever you have to do this, huh? The blender, whatever. And then you pulse it on enough until you have broken the skins, and you pour this into your container here, like this, into a strainer. Here we are. And having pulled it, you strain very, very strongly using a spatula, as I'm doing here. See? There we are. So the soup there is extremely important, you know. It's made mostly with a piece of bacon in there, or a piece of salt pork, or whatever it is that comes from the pig, because the pig is raised in the barn next to the house, as in every one of the French provinces. So here I have some of my lentils soup ready, and I'm going to add it to a batch of soup which is here ready, waiting for me, okay? So let me show you what it looks like, and as I told you, it doesn't look too good, but oh boy the taste, oh boy the taste. Huh? So what you start by doing is getting some of this garnish and putting it right there at the bottom of your soup pot, okay? Keep some of the greens for the top with the hope that they are going to be floating for you. This is quite delicious, you will see. So once you do this, you come here and you fill your little pot with the lentil soup, like this, trying not to put it all over the dish as I just did. Okay, so carry it if you have to. Actually, I'm going to pour it. It looks like it's much nicer to the pouring. There we are. Then we're going to add a little more of our veggies on the top with the hope that they will be floating nicely to put a little bit of color. Okay, this is not too bad, as you can see. It works quite well. There we are. I will be back in a minute to do an absolutely delicious main course.
We will continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
To you, it's just a peel. To us, it's where promises are kept. Sunkist. You have our word on it.
The Millers bake Nestle Toll House cookies.
Daddy, do you even know how to bake Nestle Toll House cookies?
I know to use Nestle Toll House morsels. They're the richest and creamiest.
Use the richest, creamiest morsels to get the world's best tasting cookie. Nestle Toll House morsels. Make your house a Toll House.
Sinus weather, and you're about to take a sinus medicine that could make you drowsy. Next time, take Sudafed Sinus, the maximum strength combination of pain reliever and fast-working decongestant found in Sudafed that won't cause drowsiness. For non-drowsy relief, depend on Sudafed Sinus because people depend on you, now in easier-to-swallow tablets and caplets.
I'll get the cereal, honey. Morning! You'll love this cereal. Where'd you come from? A different time when grains were kept whole for the natural hearty taste. Great grains, toasted wheat, oats, and barley, kept whole, full of flavor. Pecans, dates, raisins. Enjoy it with the missus. Thanks.
Great. Where'd you get this?
Mind if I tell her?
What was great back then is great grains now. A great cereal from Post.
Alaska fishermen go through agony to bring you a taste of ecstasy. Alaska canned salmon, far and away the world's finest.
After years of planning, months of delay, and countless hours of back-breaking labor, advanced technology meets sheer determination to create an amazing tunnel beneath the English Channel.
I'm James Burke. How will a massive feat of engineering change the face of Europe? Explore the question on the next Science Frontiers, Thursday at 9 on the Learning Channel.
We now continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
This recipe comes from my grandmother's cookbook, and I think from her grandmother also, so it's very, very ancient. And as I checked some books for some work that I'm doing, I found in a cookbook called Die Rheinische Küche, which is the Rhenish cooking kitchen, by a lady who could not write and dictated her work to a pastor. The same recipe with very, very slight modifications. So this book being dated in the 1770s to 1790s, you can see that this is very old. I'm sure you will enjoy it. We're going to start by marinating as usual, this time to give a little taste. I'm not sure they marinated for taste. They probably marinated for this, kind of hiding the little funny taste that the chicken could acquire because they had no refrigeration at the time. So you would put onions like this over it and carrots in approximately equal amounts, okay? And then you're going to take the herbs that you see here, which are parsley stems, okay, and thyme mixed together in honorable quantity, I would say, okay? Then you're going to use the wine, and you may look at my wine. This is California Gewürztraminer. The dish can be made with Gewürztraminer. That's spicy but not sweet. It can be made with Riesling, with Johannisberger Riesling in California if you want. In all cases, the sauce will come out tasting slightly sweet sour, which is what you're looking for. So let me pour the wine on it. This time the wine is not reduced because the chicken skin is there to isolate the chicken from the alcohol. So we're going to put this right here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like once it is finished. This is like this, you see? You can see that the chicken has lost some juices right into the marinade, that the juices have become cloudy, and the chicken has lost color and discolored considerably. So since it has discolored considerably, it's going to be up to you to make it look good again by browning it considerably also. So let's go over to the stove and see what I have done to this effect. Now, I want you to look inside of my pot there. You can see inside of my pot, and I have some chicken there, which is very considerably browned, very, very brown, and out of which I have obtained a tremendous glaze there in the bottom, as you can see. Please leave that glaze. It's essential that you leave it there. Pepper the chicken very, very well, okay? And add some salt over it. I have added a little salt as I browned it already, but you can always add a little more, because since the wine will give a sweet sour sauce, you want to make sure that it's salty enough. Here comes the marinade. You can see that the marinade again does not look the same as I just showed you in the dish. The reason is that as the marinade reduced, the juices of the chicken kind of deposited in it and made that cloudy appearance and thick appearance. And then here comes veal stock. Now, obviously, you may not have veal stock, but did you see? I had chicken pieces. My chicken pieces came out of whole chicken. And since I had whole chicken, after I was finished cutting all these pieces, I had a wonderful carcass out of which you can make a beautiful chicken stock. When you cut your chicken up, make sure that you always keep a little double breast. The two sides of a breast, you're going to see immediately why I'm telling you this. So what you want to do is cover that chicken mix well like this, cover that chicken, bring it to a boil and simmer it for approximately 25 to 30 minutes. The same thing applies to all the stews that you're going at some point to get rid of the marinade. Vegetables will happen right here. I'm going after 30 minutes to take away all the vegetable marinades and just drain the juice to keep it and replace the marinade vegetables with a garnish, which I have here, which is very, very finely cut mushrooms and tiny, tiny little bits of bacon. The bacon may be skipped if you do not like it. So I have here my pot, and I'm going to have this chicken, which is almost finished, that you see in the pot, in which all the details are visible. You have your cooked chicken, the pieces of bacon and the pieces of mushroom, and this cooked with the garnish, mushroom and bacon, another 5 to 10 minutes afterwards. The chicken has to be tender, and actually in Alsace you'll see it almost fall off the bone sometimes. It doesn't fall off the bone, it's not a good chicken, and it's not done the way it should be. All right? So if we go a little further here, you're going to see a complete pot of quenelles there. This makes it very, very Alemannic and very Alsatian. Very few people know this, but apparently one of the origin of the quenelle is Germanic, which I don't think it is. I think it's rather Celtic. The Celtic may have done this early in the days of times, way, way back, before the first century AD, and they did pound all kinds of meat. And the Alsace, which has a large background, a large substratum of Celtic people, has retained this way of cooking. And all the people of Celtic origin, like all over the chain of the Alps in Austria, everywhere, you will see the knödel and the quenelle. This is the same word. I'm taking them out of the stock here where they cooked. You'll see me reuse them afterwards to decorate the dish. And I'm going to show you how to make them with the use of your food processor, which makes the situation so easy. It used to be such a panic to make the knödel in Alsace when I was a young woman. They had me pound this in a mortar, and it was just horrible. No more horror. Let me show you exactly what to do. Here's your good old-fashioned food processor. By now it's old-fashioned, isn't it? We have had it for such a long time, we don't remember the days when it didn't exist. We're going to put a tab of nutmeg, like this. We're going to put approximately a half a teaspoon of salt, like that. A good 10 shakes of pepper, as fine as you can so it doesn't appear in big blocks in the quenelle, okay? And we're going to add 2 chicken breasts diced and very, very, very cold. Here they are extremely, extremely cold. And here goes the magnificent machine, as I used to call it at the beginning of its happening. And I'm going to pulse this first to mix everything, okay? And then I'm going to put it on and come back to take care of my chicken while this is happening, okay? So here's my chicken already, and I'm bringing it right here. There we are. And it will be waiting for me. So will my quenelle, all right? There we are. Now, once this is done, your Cuisinart being open then, you're going to add to it approximately 1.25 cups of heavy cream on a steady, slow stream. Huh? There we go. I'm going like this. There we are. See? Now check it. Some mousse take a longer time than others. Some quenelle paste take a longer time than others. Also, some take more cream than others. It depends very much on how much egg you have or what the texture of the chicken is. If the chicken is given a lot of good wheat to it, it will be fine. If it's not, then it's not going to be very good. So what I'm going to do is add some herbs to it now. It looks pretty good. Mix some of the herbs with the chicken quenelle, and I'll poach one to show you exactly how it goes. Huh? Just like this. You drop it into the stock. I have showed you how to make dumplings. A quenelle is exactly the same thing. You let it drop to the bottom. See, this one is so light already that it is surfacing for me. Huh? So let me show you now how to take that nice little chicken out and make a beautiful dish for your family. It is, let me tell you, not too expensive and extremely delicious. So here come your pieces of chicken, all out on a dish, okay? There we are. Don't burn yourself, this is not necessary. You see you have breast, you have all kinds of pieces there. And I have not done anything to thicken my sauce. My grandmother would be very upset at me because honestly, she used to thicken it with egg yolk and cream. But let me tell you, the stock that I use is so very good that if I would put the egg yolks in it instead of not putting it, I would have something so rich that nowadays we could not eat it. So here are my quenelles going all around, like that, see? Okay? And then I'm going to spoon the sauce over it. If you want, you can really thicken it with 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And here we go on the top, there. And then we'll put a little bit of green to make it happy here, and make it happy there. And spoon a little more sauce over it. And this is your chicken dinner with a slightly sweet sour sauce and extremely, extremely delicious. Enjoy it. I will be back for a very special Alsatian cake.
We will continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
To you, it's just a peel. To us,
Talking about the coast of Normandy, you know, I have to brush on the seafood situation there because it's a very, very impressive and very beautiful one. If you ever want a thrill in the way of seafood display, you have to go at the market in Trouville, which is just at the train station of Deauville. It's the same. Cross the bridge over the little river Dive and turn left, and right there on any Saturday or Sunday morning, you're going to find the market. It's really quite impressive. There is shrimp, the gray shrimp of the channel, and if it's warm, they jump. They don't like to be there, so they'll jump even as high as your face. It's very funny. And if it's cold, you'll see them sluggish and staying there nicely. You will see the scallops that I have here on my plate, huge scallops. Instead of being flat as our scallops on this side of the Atlantic are, they're ribbed all over the place, and you can find small ones that are not fully developed all over the beaches, as well as razor clams, okay? When the sea goes away, because there is a very, very large continental platform, and you can walk almost a mile when the sea has retracted, and you can go there and find whatever you want. You find tiny little clams that we call flions, out of which we make a soup. And you look in the sand, and if you see a hole, in that hole is a cockle. A cockle is a tiny scallop, very small, but as big as my fingernails there, and that we also make soups out of, or fricassees. And we sometimes find wonderful Boulogne oysters that are there wild. You don't know where they come from. They sit there on the sand, stranded from the sea. And we also find those huge mussels that are that long, that are called cailleux. When I was a child, we were sent every day to pick up whatever we could from the beach to eat at night. And with always the idea, make sure that you, as soon as the first sea laps on the rocks, come right back, because you could really have problems. So I'm going to today do you a dish of scallops. And this is what Henriette did one day, that her son was given a complimentary can of caviar. And she decided to spend everything she had in the house, from champagne to caviar. Everything went on that place, and we all thought that was absolutely incredible. So here first I want you to draw your attention on that scallop that you see here. Concentrate on this one, because here you see there is one little mussel. I'm going to take it like this, lift it and remove it. You have to do this in every one of your scallops. All the little mussels like this are to be removed, and they will go into your sauce to give it taste. Huh? So we'll leave them here, and I'm going to show you the components of our sauce, which is a little bit of Calvados later. Right now we have some fish fumet, which we're going to put here. Now you know fish fumet is fish stock, and you do what you want. You use whatever fish stock you feel like using, approximately a half a cup. And I'm going to have the equivalent in the United States of a French champagne, which is our premium sparkling wine from California, which I'm undoing right now, which is going to pop real high because it's warm. Boom. There we go. About a half a cup of that. It makes an excellent sauce. It really does. You should try it. It's not an ounce of acidity. It's really wonderful. We're going to put shallots, about 2 or 3 shallots chopped up, right? You look what happens with the shallots going into it. It gathers all the dioxide from the sparkling wine, and some chives. And we're going to put a pinch of salt, not too much, and a pinch of pepper, okay? And this is going to be reducing until it looks pretty much like what I have here, which is almost completely reduced, okay? So I'm going to remove this under now, because I have no use for it since I'm not going to use it. And we will continue with what we have ready on the stove. Now let me show you something here. I'm going to do what Henriette did to make the famous beurre blanc a little more convenient to do than it is really for the layperson. I have here approximately a half a teaspoon of cornstarch, which I'm going to dilute into a slurry with some heavy cream, okay? There we go, approximately a quarter cup of heavy cream or a third of a cup of heavy cream. There we go. I'm going to bring my reduction. You can see my reduction is approximately a quarter of a cup solids and liquids. Back here on the stove, and I'm going to add this right here until it thickens slightly. I'm going to bring it back to a high boil. Let me turn this off because I'm roasting myself right there, which is not exactly easy. There we go. So I'm going to bring this back also on high heat. Okay, now a minute. Which one is it? It's this one. Yeah. No, this one. Fine. Wonderful. Now I'm on high heat. Okay? Good. Yeah, see, you have to learn your stove, and I have not yet learned my stove. Okay? So we're going to bring this to a boil, and as soon as it boils, you're going to see me add butter into it, which in quantity which is going to seem absolutely unreasonable to you. This is the principle of the beurre blanc. This is actually what I'm doing now is called an old-fashioned Normandy sauce, because it has the shallots most of the time not strained out of it, except that for my convenience I'm going to strain them. You can see my thickening happening right now. Huh? So as soon as this boils, and it is now boiling, you're going to see me take the butter at the end of my whisk and whisk it in, like this on high boil. Be not scared. Be not scared of doing it on high boil. I have showed you this before. It is perfectly all right. Nothing is going to happen as long as you keep it on high boil. If it's put it on low boil, then it will separate. But keep it on high boil. There we go. See? It will come, and I'm going to put another one. Okay? Shall I put the whole half a pound like Henriette used to do? I think I'm going to keep with about a stick and a half. That will be quite reasonable. Then we'll salt and pepper that. There we go. Stick and a half. See? This will serve 6 to 8 people, so don't worry too much about the quantity of butter. That will be fine. There we are. This is your beurre blanc. This is a shortcut to it so that you're not in troubles. Normally, no starch and no cream in it, just the plain butter and the reduction. Now that it is finished, I'm going to strain it in the little pot that is waiting for it. There we go. See? There we are. Look how easy it makes it when you have that starch. So if you young ladies who are looking at me are a little scared, don't hesitate. Use that little trick. It will be just fine. Now I'm going to keep that pan here because I'm going to leave a teeny bit of the cream to make my pot real very, very hot. See, look at this. This is like silk. Isn't that wonderful? Now do leave the shallots in it. You know, I always say, I had a student who loved shallots so much that he would come to my demonstration table every time and eat all my overcooked shallots. I don't know what his stomach did, but he did it. He loved it. Huh? So now I'm going to take my scallops, and as you can see in that cream that is a little overcooking now, I'm going to put those scallops on real high heat. Huh? A little piece of butter so they don't stick really. Okay? Ah, it's butterfair, isn't it? Yeah, it's butterfair. You can be in Normandy without butterfair. It's quite wonderful. You should have seen my friend Henriette. She made the butter. She had 2 cows and she made cheese, as we have seen in another time, and she made also camembert, okay, lovely camembert, and she made that wonderful butter out of the cream that came from the 2 cows. She had one by the name of Rosette and the other one by the name of Rosalie, which was absolutely wonderful. Now, we want to have this really hot. It's as hot as possible, and we are not going to cook them much. Just a few minutes, just to heat them right through. You can see them stiffen. They're on super high heat, huh? Super, super high heat. You can see them whiten and stiffen. A dash of Calvados, okay? All right? A dash of salt and pepper. And this is it. They are done. I'm going to remove them now to a pan which I have ready, a dish rather that I have ready to receive them. Here they come. See? There we are. I'm going to bring this here. Take my slotted spoon here and remove my scallops away from that hot heat, which they don't like too much. Remember that a good scallop should almost be raw in the center when you take it out of the pan, so that it finishes cooking from its own accumulated heat, so that you don't have to have it overcooked all the time in your plate. Huh? Then we're going to do something. This, what I have in my pan here, is Calvados and all the juices of the scallops. So what I'm going to do now is very simply that. Reduce those juices to a glaze as fast as I can. Here we go. We put a little bit of that sauce in here. See? And we reduce everything together. There we go. What you're doing actually is lengthening the life of your white butter by adding that beautiful, beautiful stock of the scallops that you had here. There we go. There we are. See? Oh, boy, this is wonderful. Okay. To finish it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some of the wonderful American caviar that is made with American sturgeon caviar. So we'll put about a little teaspoon in there and very quickly put it in. And on the top, we are going to put some of our wonderful salmon caviar that comes from the Columbia Valley. Well, I'll pour it, that's fine. There we go. All right, let's spoon that first. There we go, all over the place. Fill the dish with it. And then what you do, you serve this in patty shells if you feel like it, or whatever you think is wonderful for you. There is a number of ways of serving them. Here comes my caviar on the top. See? There we are. And then I'm going to put some red caviar, and I'm going to wish you a good appetite for the beginning of the meal. We will continue the meal by something a little less noble than the caviar. Oh boy, that's nice. That looks good, doesn't it? Let's put a little more. There we are. There, okay? Little greens on the side and a little bit floating here like this, and we're ready to serve it. Have a nice first course, and as soon as I come back, you're going to see the main course come along, which will be a wonderful pork course.
We will continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
Advanced technology meets sheer determination to create the English Channel Tunnel on the next Science Frontiers, tonight at 9 on TLC.
When's the last time you tried Ovaltine?
That's funny. I hadn't had Ovaltine in years. And then last week I heard a radio commercial about Ovaltine and I went out and bought some. Great idea.
Just 2 glasses of classic Ovaltine and milk contain more than 10 essential vitamins and minerals, almost 100% of the daily recommended allowance of all these important nutrients.
I loved Ovaltine as a kid. I still love it.
Classic Ovaltine tastes great, and it's great for you.
At a prestigious cheese competition, Cracker Barrel Cheddar wins a gold medal for excellence. Its 18th. The taste inspires a Munster, Vermont Cheddar, Havarti, Baby Swiss. Each made with the same care as our award-winning cheddar. Cracker Barrel from Kraft. Judged to be the best.
Pick a pillow and make it a ColorPoint pillow. Perfect! New ColorPoint paint stitching. Specially developed patterns and paints that capture the rich beauty of needlecrafts in just 1 or 2 hours. ColorPoint makes it easy. You make it beautiful.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stewart, and what you are about to see concerns me greatly.
I have nothing more. My apartment is burned. I'm no place to go. We have only our lives.
The United Nations Commission for Refugees and American relief agencies are aiding millions like her. Please help us to help them. Call 1-800-296-5252.
Some people with arthritis have trouble walking. Please support the fight against arthritis.
Tonight on the Learning Channel.
My back pain mainly is in my lower back, and it's really bad when the weather's damp or after I've gone running or exercise or something, but that's mainly because of my scoliosis.
She's young, active, and limited by pain. Now an innovative medical procedure. You'll be there as it happens. Witness back surgery on The Operation, tonight at 8.
We now continue with Madeleine Cooks on the Learning Channel.
And this comes from an area which is north from where Henriette lived, where she had a sister that used to make it sausage, as you will see it. So I'm going to make the sausage meat right away. And it's also stuff